Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel where I talk about movies. And before I get started today, I wanted to give a very strong recommendation to a new YouTube channel um, that is called CineArtThetapy, where Altaz gives some very interesting discussions about movies. I've started sampling some of his videos, and I will leave a link in the description box below, and I highly encourage people to check his channel out. So there's something new for me as well in this year, and in fact just the last few months, I've started talking about silent films. Now, my knowledge of silent films is very limited. It's limited basically to Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton, whose films I've seen, all the films, the short films as well, I've seen many, many times. But outside of that, I haven't really seen very many silent films, and especially at home. I've seen a few. I saw Napoleon, the re-release of Napoleon in the early 1980s, which was fantastic. I've seen Chaplin's A Woman in Paris in a movie theater, which I was very impressed by. But at home, I struggle with them. But a few months ago, I did a video on a Frank Borzage silent film, and then a couple weeks ago, I did one on Carl Theodor Dreyer's Michael. And I not only enjoyed talking about these movies, I actually did enjoy the movies, and the one I'm going to talk about today, I really enjoyed as well. And this is another biggie director-wise. This is Ernst Lubitsch's The Doll from 1919. 104 years ago, can you believe it? And this is based on an E.T.A. Hoffmann short story, Hoffmann being one of the other stories for The Nutcracker, and also the basis for the Powell and Pressburger Tales of Hoffmann movie from the 1950s. Now, Hoffmann generally is kind of dark. Lubitsch takes according to the commentary, he takes the elements of the story, but he's making a farce. He's making a fantasy. Hoffmann was very much into fantasy, but this is not going to be a dark ending, and we feel that right from the start. This is a comedy. It's a farce, but it is, and it opens with Ernst Lubitsch himself coming out and constructing a sort of dollhouse set out of cardboard, and we see him putting it together, and he's sort of smiling as he's doing it. It's very amusing. People knew who Ernst Lubitsch was in 1919. He was now a director, but he had been an actor in many movies. He was known on stage. He often played the comic part in Max Reinhardt's Shakespeare productions. So this was not unusual. The audience would get a kick out of watching Lubitsch constructing this set. So we see it again in a dollhouse set, but then we see it in the same set in a large set. And we see people coming out of this house that Lubitsch had constructed. And we see a young man. This is Lancelot. He's being trailed by his mother. He is indeed a mama's boy. He has a very rich uncle, and this uncle has no children of his own, and Lancelot is his only nephew, and he wants Lancelot to get married to continue the family line. But Lancelot wants no part of women. He doesn't want to marry. He runs away. He takes refuge with these gluttonous monks in an abbey, and he he talks about his dilemma. Now, these monks they have no money, but they love to eat. They're all overweight, and when they look at the paper and they see Lancelot's uncle has put out a reward, come back, Lancelot, and this is going to be this fantastic dowry you're going to receive. The monks' eyes light up. This is part of Lubitsch's anti-clerical stance. The hypocrisy here, but it's all funny. These monks are just hilarious. But Lancelot doesn't want to get married, so what to do? Well, the monks go into their archive. The monks' archive has catalogs, and in one of these catalogs is an advertisement from a doll maker who offering a life-size doll. So this is the scheme. You're going to marry a doll. Your uncle won't know that she's not real. Because the doll maker is so adept at making dolls, they look exactly, and this is going to be a life-size doll. So we very much get here. Well, we go to the doll maker's shop, which is another fantastic set. I mean, it's just absolutely magnificent. It's all fake, it's all artificial, but it's fantastic. But here we meet not only the doll maker, and it was very funny, but he has this 15-year-old apprentice. He looks even younger, and this kid is he is totally irascible. And his relationship with his employer is just, the comic timing here is just absolutely superb. And this, according to the commentary, this is the kind of role that Lubitsch himself would have played, and audiences would have been familiar with this character. But the weird part of it is the doll maker is making this artificial doll to look just like his own daughter. So it gets very strange. And then things develop, and Lancelot ends up with the daughter, but the daughter playing a doll. So he thinks it's a doll. And again, she's taking a shine to Lancelot, perhaps even to the money. So there's burial ceremony. I mean, it's just one hilarious scene after another. So it's very much a movie, though, that can seem pretty contemporary because of the gender roles involved. The way men look at women. This was a big topic, a big theme that runs through Lubitsch's films. How do men and women get along in this world? Men looking at women as dolls, as objects. And one of the great parts of this film, and that just stunned me, was the actress who plays both the daughter and the doll, and that is an actress by the name of Ossi, Oswalda. And she played in 16 different Lubitsch films. She had started as a ballet dancer. Her physical comedy is superb, her timing. She's just thoroughly delightful and surprisingly delightful throughout this film. And although these pictures are not very sharp, here is the doll maker and the apprentice, and this is Ossi Oswalda as the doll. And so this kind of gender roles and continues on, because there's actually another feature on this film. And this is I Don't Want to Be a Man. And the doll is about 65 minutes. I Don't Want to Be a Man is about 45 minutes. This is from 1918. So Ossi Oswalda made 16 films with Lubitsch, but this was a time when filmmakers like Lubitsch were putting out 8-9 movies per year. So they really develop a great sense that Ossi Oswalda had become a big star, and Lubitsch really knew how to use her. Now, she's also in I Don't Want to Be a Man, but she thinks she does want to be a man. So she has no parents. Her uncle is she's playing a part called Ossi Oswalda in the movie, and her uncle is her guardian, and he's very strict, but she is rebellious. She wants to smoke, she wants to drink. She's playing a teenager, maybe 18, and she wants to go out and party with the boys, and she can't understand why she's not allowed to do these things that the boys do. So the uncle gets called away by the government to go on some government mission, and he leaves behind a friend of his to watch over her, a new guardian. He's tough. He's gonna show her he's gonna get rid of that rebellious streak. And so Ossi decides that she wants to be a man, and she is and then she finds out that maybe I don't want to be a man after all. And then the new guardian sees her as a man and doesn't recognize her as his new ward. And so there's actually a kiss here, which I don't know how transgressive it was in 1918, but it would have been, in Germany, in the US, it probably would not have, it would have been seen as, certainly as transgressive. But today we see it as, in other words, the tutor is attracted to Ossi as a man. So we're entering the realm of Victor Victoria, or Billy Wilder, Some Like It Hot. Billy Wilder was mentored by Ernst Lubitsch, and Wilder was always, when he would make movies, he would always consider, how would Lubitsch do it? Because he was so original. He always came up with great ideas. And there's commentaries here by Joseph McBride on both films, and he's very good. I mean, he wrote a book, he published a book a few years ago called How Did Lubitsch Do It? And he describes Lubitsch's, he puts this in Lubitsch's total career, because not long after Lubitsch comes to Hollywood, he's known today as a comedy director. He made all kinds of films, including historical extravaganzas, and he was tired of making that. He comes to the U.S. Of course, in the early 30s, there was Design for Living, and films that sort of invented the romantic comedy, and then The Trouble in Paradise, and then in 1940 and the year after, he would make Shop Around the Corner and To Be or Not to Be. These are really classic comedies, and Lubitsch was considered one of the great directors. He's not exactly forgotten today, but his influence in his own lifetime was huge among other filmmakers, all the way up to the French New Wave. Truffaut gushed over Lubitsch, and the Lubitsch touch. Lubitsch would say in interviews, "I don't know what the touch is. You explain it to me." A lot of it is just the sexual innuendo, which in these two films and all, throughout his career, he got away with a lot through the centuries, because they were so witty, and they could be taken, his innuendos could be taken in various ways. What does he really mean by this? And you see moments like that in these two films as well. So, so again, Joseph McBride's commentaries are very good here. I do have to mention before I close, Ossi Oswalda, who has got to be one of the great comic actors of the silent film, just from these two movies I'd like to see. There's a few more Lubitsch movies, I think, that are available. Some of Lubitsch's films, like all silent films, were forgotten. But she had a scandalous affair with royalty, and she ended up in Czechoslovakia. And she didn't make like so many silent film stars, she didn't make the transition to sound. And she ended up, very sadly, dying in Czechoslovakia. I think she was only around 50, in total poverty, and you know, she was totally forgotten. Here is the transgressive kiss from I Want to Be a Man, and this is her governess with her new guardian. So another big winner, I think, from Kino. They just come out with some superb titles. This is major. If you're an Ernst Lubitsch fan, this is a major film. So next up, I also picked up earlier this week, I picked up the new Criterion 4K UHD upgrade of Akira Kurosawa, the first UHD Kurosawa from Criterion. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen. I do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.